As we're getting closer to Halloween, who doesn't like a good ghost story? Just a quick drive north of our Ozarks Life, we have what many consider is the most haunted place in the state. And a visit to the Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City is quite the experience. At the center of the state sits a petrifying penitentiary.
1836. You know, the same week that the Alamo fell, this place opened up.
When we first became a prison, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, California, all of that was Mexico.
From 1836 to 2004, the worst of the worst wasted their time at the Missouri State Penitentiary.
I've seen 3 different episodes of Gunsmoke, and they've talked about Jeff City getting out of the penitentiary, and they're talking about this place.
Over the years, more housing units were added to accommodate the career gangsters, rapists, and cold-blooded killers. Before it closed, it was the oldest operating penal facility west of the Mississippi River.
We had Sonny Liston in this building. We had James Earl Ray, Pretty Boy Floyd over in the other building.
But not every inmate left. 40 were executed on site, one by lethal injection, and before that, 39 inside of this gas chamber, including a man from the Ozarks, Wright County's Ernest Afton Scott. In the spring of 1948, he shot his wife Verla in front of their oldest of 7 kids because she filed for divorce. He also killed the judge in Mountain Grove that was going to hold their hearing. A year later, the last thing he saw was the inside of this chamber.
20 cyanide tablets were set on a little shelf underneath, and when they'd pull the red lever, they'd drop that into a stone crock that had acid in it, which actually created a visible cyanide mist. And they told him, now, when that gets up around your throat, because they can't see it coming up, we'll tap on the glass, pump, 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 let you know, and then you can either hold your breath or take a long, take a deep breath. It's like breathing battery acid in it, just burns, and you can't draw another breath, and you just slowly suffocate. So it's horrible way to kill anybody.
Outside of the execution chamber, hundreds of deaths have been reported at this prison.
A lot of murders were committed in here, some very bloody and violent murders.
In 1967, Time magazine called it the bloodiest 47 acres in America. Former corrections officer and Crocker native Tom Wells can attest to that.
I've seen inmates stabbed 25 times, blood squirting out of them everywhere, running to the hospital, and I've seen guys, I've seen a guy out in the gym that had been murdered.
These buildings were like fortresses to keep Missouri's worst from escaping. Today, many believe some of these inmates still cannot leave. We are following David Glidden from Haunting History, a Southwest Missouri native who brought in some paranormal investigator friends to spend the night and see if any prisoners are still around.
This place has been on my bucket list for I don't know how long. The history here is just phenomenal.
I've followed David on 4 investigations over the years for KY3.
I think that's good, that'll work.
From the Landers Theater to the Pythian Castle, the old Riverside Inn, and the Crescent Hotel, where David's team once caught an image of what appears to be a man with a cowboy hat sitting for dinner in an empty hall.
When the sun goes down.
On this night, we have full access to Building 1, the women's ward. Here, tour guides have seen a woman still walking the catwalks from cell to cell. Building 3, home to death row and solitary confinement. Voices, footsteps, and shadows are said to watch your every move. Building 4, the oldest on the property, built in 1868, that also has shadows, full-bodied apparitions, and screams coming from these dungeon cells. And of course, the execution chamber, where 40 people drew their last breath. Before our investigation begins, as we're getting our interviews,
we do phasma box, static boxes. We get a...
Somebody was walking up there.
Yeah, it could be.
And it appears like something was walking and watching us from a level above inside of Building 3.
I'm sorry.
No. It happens when it happens.
Next Friday, join us as we continue our overnight stay at the Missouri State Penitentiary. And we'll also hear more of the horrific history and more paranormal claims. Now, you can visit the State Penitentiary and go on one of those various ghost tours that they offer. Right now, unfortunately, though, they're almost booked solid until November. A little bit of history for you now. The first inmate brought to that penitentiary when it opened in 1836 was from Greene County. Wilson Edson, sentenced 2 days after the fall of the Alamo for stealing a watch.